From Little League to the big leagues and everywhere in between. From one stage to another, passion is my middle name. I'm J.J. Davis. This is In Focus. Make room for Daddy. Well, not Danny Thomas. Look him up. But a legend, a broadcasting legend. And in fact, he is the voice of Nebrasketball, as well as a 6-time Nebraska Sportscaster of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Kent Pavelka.
JJ, thanks for the invitation. And thanks for the introduction.
All right, now, catchphrases. Where'd you get the catchphrase?
Make room for Daddy?
Yes, or is what Danny Thomas show, you and I know.
Well, you know, I've had a couple of people say, what the hell does that mean? You know, and so they aren't old enough to remember Danny Thomas and Make Room for Daddy. That was the name of the show.
That's right.
You know, I just, toward the end of that game, you know, I knew Nebraska was going to crack the top 10.
Right.
If they win this.
Right.
And so, you know, it just made sense.
Make
room for Daddy.
I always know from my experience, the catchphrases just come out. You don't even know where they come from half the time. They just come out. Agree?
Yeah. I think I thought of that like with about 5 minutes to go in that game and thought if they pull this off, that's what I'm going to go with. So, yeah, I mean, you know, was that spontaneous? You tell me.
It's spontaneous.
Okay.
For the most part.
All right.
What about the spontaneousness of your life? Did you always know I'm going to be the guy? I'm going to call sports for Nebraska.
Yep. I did. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do that from an early age on. You said in middle school?
Yeah, you said junior high.
Yeah.
How was the seed planted in junior high?
Well, I wasn't a very good athlete. I mean, I was, you know, went to Lincoln Northeast in Class A, big, you know, we were state champions in basketball and in football my senior year. So I wasn't a standout athlete, but I thought that's a way for me to you know, to ingrain myself in sports or to have a pathway in sports. Right. And, you know, classic story, playing, you know, touch football in the afternoon. Nebraska's playing at Memorial Stadium. We're in the backyard of a friend's house. The radio's on the windowsill, blaring through the screen, and I'm paying attention to the play-by-play guy broadcasting the game more than I care about the game.
Right.
It just kind of it fascinated me, and I thought, man, I'd love to do that.
Well, you've said, yeah, for a while. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So next thing you know, you find yourself at UNL from 67 to 71, and you realize, hey, I can broadcast some games.
Yeah, that's why I went there. I knew they had a broadcast journalism school.
Right.
And part of that was the university's radio station. And I knew that they had a little sequence in there where you could, as a student, do games, and they're still doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, memories for you. Take me down memory lane. While in Lincoln, KFMQ, go.
Well, I can't really be real forthcoming about those days. That was underground radio, and you know, if you think about the culture back then, it was you know,
it's not like it is now.
No,
all right,
counterculture, and you know, well,
we'll leave it at that. 1972, Fremont, K-Hub.
Yeah, first job out of school, and an opportunity to do play-by-play for Midland College, Fremont High, Fremont Bergen, you know, the Legion baseball team, do all the games, you know, hundreds of games in a short period of time, and you know, you learned your trade.
I was going to say a chance to make mistakes and develop.
Yeah. It's a great first job. It really was.
How about that next job, 1974, KFAB, sportscaster, operations manager. 74 to 83, the color guy for Nebraska football.
Right.
84 to 96, the play-by-play guy for Nebraska football. But since 74 to 96, Nebrasketball. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, And then there was a 10-year hiatus because of a rights fee thing, and they didn't hire me. And then I came back to do basketball.
But tell me about all those years when you were mixing both football and basketball.
Oh, I mean, how do I tell you about? That's 52 seasons ago.
Man.
Think about that one.
Right, but there are certain things I know that I never forget from my career.
Oh, I mean, it's just been, especially since this last basketball season, with the first NCAA tournament wins, and it was such a milestone in the fans' life. It rubbed off. Part of it was I was really touched by how people embraced me at the end of that tournament.
Yeah, I can still see the footage on TV.
Yeah, and so it gave me a chance to think back to 52 years ago, and all the coaches and all the players, and all the assistants and all the staff and all the fans, and put it all together. What's the one common denominator? So it's an interesting reality to look square in the face at.
Well, how about the former reality of the Husker football program? You covered the Big Red during some glory years.
A couple national championship
winning
broadcasts.
Yes.
The win over Miami in '95 in the Orange Bowl. Then the following year, Tommy Frazier's 75-yard touchdown run, and the blitzing of Florida. And so that's how I went out. That was my last football game.
It's not a bad way to go out.
Yeah, it was fun.
So which do you prefer? Not to put you in football, or does it matter?
They gave me different thrills. I mean, basketball is just, intrinsically, I think, more fun to broadcast because it's just nonstop. Mm-hmm. If you've got a good game, it's just pretty tense the whole game. Mm-hmm. Football, 11 seconds of action, 30 seconds of dead air, 11 seconds.
That's right.
Not as intense, but the knowledge that you had that huge audience out there, and you got the window up at Memorial Stadium, and you're doing the game, and you hear the crowd, and I mean, it's just a theater to your mind and your ears, and there's nothing like that.
It's like the fans inside Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Yeah,
like you've called them when you call home games. They're the symphony.
Yeah.
And I'm the soloist.
Exactly. You understand that.
Well, yeah, but not as much as you. You're a legend. I'm just a journeyman, as I like to say with Dave. I'm just a guy that's been around.
How much play-by-play?
I did a little bit, so I respect you guys. I have had Kevin Kugler on this show, and you talk about preparation.
Boy, he's good.
He's one of the best, I think. So I respect you guys because I haven't done it before. It's not my genre, so to speak, but I do think I'm a storyteller, and I think you are too.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what a broadcast is, a story of that event.
Especially in radio.
Absolutely. Theater of the mind.
Correct.
I don't think people, it's a subconscious realization, but next time if you're watching a football game on TV or a basketball game, close your eyes. The play-by-play guy doesn't describe anything. I mean, you see it. In radio...
The good ones.
Well, yeah, in radio, you have to describe.
You have to paint the picture.
Yeah. So that's the challenge of it, and that's the fun of it.
But where does that come from? Were you always that way as a little kid? Very imaginative, can phrase things properly, utilize the language?
Like I said, I got mesmerized by listening to other broadcasters when I was 10, 12 years old.
Favorite one?
A couple of guys in Lincoln. Dick Perry was one. Bob Zenner was another. Tom Hedrick was another. This was back in the days when there were 4 originating football broadcasts. Bremser at KFAB, and nobody in Lincoln listened to Bremser. They listened to the Lincoln guys. So
man, that's a revelation.
Yeah.
Because man, woman, and child.
Yeah, but I mean, we had local guys, Perry and Zenner and all those guys. That's who we listened to.
So when you joined the fray, so to speak, how did you think you'd fit in?
Well, I was a mess for the first 5 or 10 years. 5 or 7 years. And it overwhelmed me. I knew it was kind of the enormity of the situation. I was nervous every game, and he made me nervous. He was a tough one to work with. He really was. He was the vice president and general manager of the radio station and the voice of the Huskers for 46 years, and here I am, 24 years old, next to this legend. And his style of broadcasting was he'd point to you, and you had like 3 seconds to talk, and if you didn't get it back, if you talked longer, he'd give you one of these, and that didn't help with the nerves.
My gosh.
You know?
So that's the way it was.
That's the way it was, yeah. But I learned so much from him. I adopted his style in terms of, you know, demanding the microphone. The color guy doesn't describe anything in radio. Shut up.
Right.
You know, in television, again, next time you watch a game, close your eyes, listen. It's the analyst who carries the broadcast, the telecast.
Now you have broadcast over 1,000 games, and you got to have a million memories. But you call this past season a phenomenon.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to describe what I went through personally in Oklahoma City and in Houston. Although we lost in Houston, but we won those 2 games in Oklahoma City. At the end of that game against Troy, first ever NCAA tournament win, the last thing in the world I expected was for the crowd that was there, and it was 95% Nebraskans, to make it be about me as much as they did.
Right.
I mean, it was...
Even the players came up to you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but I had, 50 years to think about, well, if we ever win an NCAA tournament game, what's it going to be like?
Right, aside from the NIT, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And there wasn't even a nanosecond I thought it would be about me.
Who is Kent Pavelka? Because we just hear your voice on the radio. We see the players embrace you. We understand the catchphrases. Who is Kent Pavelka?
I'm just an ordinary guy. I love to work in the garden. I got a shade garden on the side of my house.
You got a garden.
I'm out there fiddling around, making sure the things are cut up, trimmed up, and I'm just a normal guy.
Is that your therapy? Sometimes?
It's part of it. It's part of my therapy. I've got other avenues that I expose myself to that get me through life.
Well, there's one avenue you've been traveling down since 1988. You've been married all those years.
Yeah.
How was it to be so far away from your wife a number of days? Because I know what that's like as a former.
She knew what she was. Yeah, I mean, she knew who I was and what I did when we met, and I don't think she expected, all these years later I'd still be doing it, but
right.
She's very cool about it. And, back in the day, Lou would travel with me on football games, and we went to Tokyo when we broadcast Nebraska, Kansas State there. We've been all over the Hawaii, all over the world. When I worked at KFAB, we had a flirtation with the city did with BMW. We thought maybe we'd get a plant here, and we took a petition of 20,000 signatures that we gathered over about 7 days and presented them to the BMW people. And she went with me to Munich to do that. So she's been a partner in my career as well as the rest of my life.
Well, sometimes I think the wives have it harder than the husbands, especially if you have to raise a family.
That's a little bit sexist in 2026, don't you think? I mean, don't you think you should say spouses?
That's another show. That's another show. So in the end, as we always say, because I know you've done these shows before, when people think of you, number one, you retired?
No.
All right.
I mean, that doesn't mean I can't change my mind when I walk out of the studio.
Now, come on, Kent. You're the only voice at Nebraska basketball.
Do you think I'm going to spill the beans here?
Well, one never knows.
You have to ask.
One never knows.
Right.
In the end, how do you want people, Husker Nation, Big Ten, throughout the country, to think about you?
I don't know that I want them to think anything about me. I just hope that, I think all we can do in life is get to the point where we realize just make a contribution, a positive contribution, no matter what avenue, what you do in your life. But one-on-one with people when you leave, a 20-minute television thing with JJ, maybe we've been good to each other during these 20 minutes, and you walk away and that's affected you.
Well, and maybe people got to know you just a little bit more. Kent Pavelka, I'm honored that you've come here on the set. Of course, you've got a much better voice than me, but thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate it, Jay.
Coming up next, from behind the microphone to a guy in front of the camera, film camera. We corner him after the break. So I really didn't know this guy from Adam, or Walter, if you will. So I cross over to do a film. No big deal, got a bit part, it's nothing. One of the lead actors, he's not only good, but he's one of the nicest guys. He's always helpful to everyone on the set. Joining me right now is that guy, Walter Shatley.
Well, hello.
Did I get that right?
You certainly did.
All right, now you got to get the plug in.
Okay.
We're in a series. He's the lead. I just got a little small part. We're in a series called Cornered, and at the time of this taping, it premieres the first 3 parts tomorrow night. So quickly, get the plug in.
Yeah, well, tomorrow night is sold out, and of course, this will be viewed afterwards, but we are showing at the Marcus Majestic. We're showing the first 3 episodes, which we'll call part 1 of Cornered, and I've now forgotten. I think it's August.
Yes, it is.
We're showing the part 2, which is episodes 4, 5, 6.
Correct.
And we'll have a third part that we have not yet filmed. We'll be working on this summer.
So he are busy people. Now, we're here in Nebraska, in the heart of what I call Huskerdom. But you grew up a Sooner.
I was born and raised in Norman, Oklahoma. So when I say Boomer Sooner,
Right.
it is truly from the heart. Absolutely.
Have you heard about it? Living here, coming
Yeah.
from Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's funny that there are a lot of Sooners here, and some are because they went to school and came here.
Right.
Some actually at Offutt Air Force Base took classes through OU at the Air Force, and so they're here and they're Sooners. And some, like my best friend's brother, who is the opposite, are Sooners in Huskerland because the rest of the people around them were rooting so hard for the Huskers. They're like, I don't want to do that. And they're like, you have to root for the Huskers. No, I don't. So they root for the Sooners. My best friend Kevin's brother, Ricky, is a Husker in Oklahoma City for that same reason, because he didn't want to root the way people were telling him to.
Well, and if you believe that, he'll tell you another one. Now, when did you know that performing, theater, film would be your thing?
I think the pivotal moment is 8th grade.
8th grade?
8th grade. So growing up, you hear this a lot from all actors. I was doing shenanigans. I was running around. I didn't have like puppet shows and things that I could do myself. My family wasn't really into that, but I was the youngest of 4. And I know that now, as an adult, I know that my siblings, Kathy, Jenny, and Robert, protected me. They shielded me and allowed me to be this crazy little kid that I was, not knowing that later, in 8th grade, one of my teachers would say, hey, Walter, I volunteered you for this assembly. I'm like, you did what? She made me do the 50s, 60s assembly, which isn't really 50s and 60s anymore. 3 other guys were lip syncing to the Bee Gees and Staying Alive.
Yes, I'm saying
and they had me come out and dance to it.
Oh my God.
Now, I was a nerd for all these years up until 8th grade. In 6th and 7th grade, I was maybe not a full-on nerd, but I wasn't popular.
Right.
And so I'm like, you want me to do what? And so I do this, and so I walk out, and people start cheering.
Wow.
And I start dancing, you know, the standard, and people start cheering louder. And then get this, I turn around and do the butt to them, and they're like, they cheered louder. I'm like, oh my God.
How about that?
This is crazy. So
How
then
about that?
in 9th grade, we then get acting class
The
and move on.
things that you don't know. So you graduate, as you put it, from the only high school in Norman High School. You get your BFA from OU in the year 2000.
That's right.
And next thing you know, you're in Oklahoma City doing a film?
Kind of, yeah. In Oklahoma City, right after we graduated, there was a film being made called Making Arrangements.
Correct.
And I had done some work. The guy that was the lead in it was also a casting director. And I had done some things with them, and they knew me from the shows I'd done at OU, and they were aware of me. And he said, hey, Walter, come down here and do this thing. Like, okay. and I think I'm just going to come do some extra part and be in the crowd for a dancing scene during a wedding.
Right.
And then he says, okay, now when they roll, come over here. And then he pulls me and starts talking to me. And so I end up having lines and getting a credit. I'm like, oh my God. So that's my first acting credit, but not my first acting gig. But first acting credit where I'm in the credits there. And it's funny because I went to IMDb later when I was doing films here, and they said, I tried to link those things and said, are you the same Walter Shatley? Yes, I am. Yes. It's me. But it was like 15 years between.
What about the acting credits in LA? You then go to the West Coast.
Only one, and it's not even a credit because it was extra gig. But I was, after college, a couple years later, I went to LA, and I was only there for about a little less than 2 years. I signed up with one of the extras castings places, and I can't remember which one it was now. But I get a call like, you go down and you give them a picture and then you leave and nothing ever happens. 4 months later, I get a call said, hey, we have a something. I'm like, for me? Like, yeah. I'm like, when did I audition for that? Like, oh, well, we had. I'm like, oh, okay. I show up and it was the film that essentially is a complete take off of Risky Business. Next door, what's it called? Girl Next Door.
That's the thing with Walter. During the shooting of certain scenes, you do a lot of waiting, I found out on the set when you shoot films. He knows everything, or at least he comes across to me as a guy that knows everything. Well, everything really wasn't happening for you in LA. I've been there before. Trust me, I know. Headshots taken twice. You'd go to auditions, you think you're good, and there's 20, 30 other guys that look better than me, that were younger than me, that were more confident than me. So then you move to New York.
Yeah, and that was mostly a decision because of a relationship, which we all sometimes do those
here
things.
We go.
But so I left LA, I went to New York. The person I was with was more of a Broadway-minded person than a movie-minded person, and I just wanted to be an actor. I didn't care what medium that was in. I just wanted that to be my job.
Right.
So we moved to New York. Spent about 8 years there. During both of these times, I had been doing children's theater tours.
Philadelphia American Family Theater.
Yeah.
Where does that come into the picture?
So I had not moved away yet. So I hadn't moved to LA yet. This is why it intertwines in there.
Wow.
So the first show I did was because I had filled it. Man, this goes backwards. I'm going to take on a journey. So
we're always on journeys.
2000 is when we graduate from college. We're with that same girl, and she goes down to Galveston to do a show, and it's Joseph, and there are 11 brothers and Joseph, so 12 people there, and 2 of them, one drops out, one gets hurt. And I go down to visit this girl, and the director's like, we're losing people. I'm like, well, I just graduated from the same school as half of your cast.
Right.
Do you want me to come down and be one of these brothers? Like, he's like, can you? I'm like, yeah, give me a minute. So I drove back from Galveston to Norman, and then got my stuff and drove back down, and I did that show. Somebody on that cast, one of the other brothers, later was on a tour based out of Philadelphia, and somebody quit. And he said, hold on, I got your guy. He did Joseph in literally 1 week of rehearsal. So I come into this show, and that was Pippi Longstocking.
Here's the thing. We all think we got stories. You know, I got a story. New York, LA, everywhere in between. Now I'm in Omaha. This guy's got a story. Philadelphia American Family Theater leads to the Omaha Theater Company, the Rose.
Yeah, I did 3 of those with them. One of the stage managers on 2 of those tours came to Omaha before me, and the tours are set up the same way. The way that company worked, and the way the Rose at that time worked for their touring companies, a van and a truck. And so they had a tour out of Omaha, of Bunnicula,
My gosh.
the Vampire Bunny, and again, somebody had to leave the tour, and my friend, her name was Kat said, hold on, don't hire anybody else until you talk to this guy. So they talk to me, they bring me onto the tour. This is where I get here to Omaha for the first time.
Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. You do a ton of shows with the Rose. You travel with the Bear-Stained Bears live. You meet your wife.
Yeah.
Where does the film world come back in? Bent Over Neil, Endor, Ambush Avenue. Where does all that enter the picture here in the Midwest?
Once we start realizing we need to, we want to have a kid, we need to have insurance. So we have to have, somebody has to have a regular job with insurance.
Right.
So after 28 shows at the Rose, having met the wife, having moved back to New York and then back to Omaha. So now we're up to 2010, we move back to Omaha and do Peter Pan. some of my friends who had done theater were also into some film.
Right.
So the first one, Ambush Avenue, was the first film I did here, and it was Brian Roma. And Meredith McAdams, who you might interview at some point, because she's still doing theater as well. She was in Joseph with me here. I did Joseph a second time. And she got me into Ambush Avenue. So that was the first film. And then with Faustus McGreaves, we did the Bent Over Kneel.
Compare
Same time.
film acting to stage acting.
Yeah, people want to make a really big difference. And internally, there's not. Internally, you're going to do all the same things. You have
Right.
to look at a script, you have to look at the character, you have to do the research of whatever you
Backstory,
know,
et cetera.
all of that stuff.
Right.
All of the, whatever method you choose, whether you're doing method Meisner, you're doing full Stanislavski, any of that stuff, that's all the same. The difference is that in theater, if I have to go, oh my God, what's going on? I have to have that back row has to see me. Oh my God, what's going on?
That's exactly what I say. You just have to project more.
Right.
Whereas with film,
And
it's so intimate and so personal. It's right there.
It can even just be this.
Right.
That's it. You're just it's just everything is the same.
Right.
It's going to come out of you smaller or bigger depending on the circumstance.
Well, how have you grown as an actor? Not necessarily in stage, film, whatever. How have you grown? The process, etc.
I would like to think I've become more thoughtful. I would like to think that when you start out, you read something, you go, oh, this is what I'm doing. And you're not necessarily open to, well, that's what I'm doing if this happens. But then you and I sit here on a scene, and I'm about to go, you didn't! But then you don't give me something that gives me that building. Oh,
Well, I've said it.
so now it's got to be here.
I've said it a million times. You're only as good as the people you're up there with.
And the choices you make together. We talk about listening not just as an actor, but as a human, listening to understand, not listening to respond. So it's the same thing for acting. As long as you are in that moment and not just saying, okay, my next line is this, ready, say it. But you're saying, oh, what did he just say?
Yeah, but Walter, I call it the magic. It's very rare for me anyway, maybe not for you. The magic happens. A lot of times I'm just acting, but every now and then when you're in it,
Yeah.
you don't even know it, but you kind of know it when it's over.
Yeah. That I think you feel that here.
Yes.
And then when it's over, you're like, and I think someone else said this too, it's over, you're like, what just happened?
Right.
That's
exactly right.
Did I say my line?
That's right. And it's rare.
that-
For me, anyway, it's rare.
No. I don't know how rare I would say it is, but it is a unique gift when it happens.
Right.
It can happen more often depending on who you're with, right? You might have one show that's difficult. I did My Fair Lady in high school, and Higgins is such a processor kind of analytical person. I was really disconcerted that I wasn't getting into him, but that's what I realized, is that it's different every time. He's not the same as Tevye, right?
So, sum it up. I know yours truly, my career has been everywhere, and it really didn't pan out the way that I thought. What about you?
Definitely not the way I thought. I don't think anybody can honestly say their life is how they planned it when they were young. But am I where I'm supposed to be? Yes, I think so. I think so. I think we are here. We're here to make what we can, when we can, and we're trying to make this whole industry here get bigger and better.
Yeah, but
That's
when
what
you
I'm
look
here
at
for
the optics, Norman, LA, New York, Midwest, back and forth, when you look at the optics, you think, this guy's searching.
Maybe. Most of the decisions, I've thought about this, that I've made haven't been specifically career. I've been making decisions for life, right? I loved the weather in LA, and I loved general life in LA, but I didn't make any money. And I didn't get that career started.
I know that.
And I was in New York, and I made more money. I was mostly working as a off-Broadway lighting tech. So I made a decent living in the theater, which is awesome, even though it's not performing. But I didn't like life there. Daily life in that grind, not my favorite.
I have enjoyed this life with you. It's been such an eye-opener. I didn't know this guy from Adam, as I said in the beginning. Now we're in this series called Cornered. It premieres at the time of this taping, the first 3 parts tomorrow night. His name is Walter Shatley. He's one of the leads, and of course he's good. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Man, I'll tell you what, the stuff that you don't know. Well, thank you for joining us on the latest edition of In Focus. And as I always like to say, Walter, I'll see you around town.